interesting having done the play and having spent so much time with the play and then recreating it for the screen, because when you do a movie, I would later learn, you don't get rehearsal and you don't get very much time with the material, certainly not with the other actors. And we'd all had basically 7 weeks together, because we'd rehearse the play for a good month and then we'd run the play for 3 weeks in the New York Fringe Festival. And they kept the entire cast from the play, which is so rare anyway, but worked out very well for us. So we all knew it quite well, which ended up being really helpful because it was a very short shoot. I believe it was a 12-day shoot, something like that, like 6 and 6 with a day off, something crazy like that. What was interesting, though, the difference to me, what I learned from doing the play and then the film, was that in the play, even though we were in a very small theater, the Bottle Factory Theater, which is right around here, we still had to play to the entire room. So, an audience member may be 50 feet away, even in a little theater. So they can't look into your eyes. They can't really see what's happening in your face and in your soul. So you have to turn all of the emotions and feelings into behavior. And in a movie, that behavior looks weird. When you turn something into behavior like that in a movie, it's too much. All you really need to do is think it and feel it, and the camera will catch it, because that's what a camera does. A camera can look you in the eye. So it was a bit of a learning curve figuring out, but Brian Sloan, who wrote the play, was there for the entire production of the play. He directed the film. So he had a very keen eye for that kind of stuff. We had a great DP, and then of course later the editor chose the best stuff, and we pulled it off. I think we pulled it off. I had just graduated from drama school, and I went to Juilliard, where we do the classics. So I had done a lot of Shakespeare, a lot of Chekhov, and when I just got out of school, and Andy Volkov, who directed the play, knew me. We'd done another play together, and he sent me the script, and I immediately responded to it. Because it was people talking like people, and that was exciting to get to do that again after 4 years of V's and vows. But also, I could totally relate to the guy. I had been in New York on 9/11. I didn't have his experience. My experience was very different, but I was around. I did know that feeling. I understood that isolation, that fear, that paranoia to an extent, not quite as much as his. And I had looked for roommates, so I knew that whole thing. I knew what that felt like. That kind of conversation with a stranger, I knew very well. So I really related to the guy, and I really liked the writing. And I loved Andy Volkov, and so I was excited to work with him again. I grew to love Brian Sloan, and I really loved the work, the play. Yeah, the movie's really a microcosm of what it was like to be in New York in the weeks following 9/11. Something happened here in late September of 2001 that I didn't experience before, and I've never experienced since. And it was this sort of familiarity among New Yorkers. I don't think that a lot of people will say that New Yorkers are rude. I would say that that's not true. They're perhaps curt, but they're not friendly, but they will be there for you if you need them, and if you need to talk to them, you'll be able, New Yorkers will do what they have to do, and if it means help you, they will. But in those weeks following 9/11, strangers talked to each other. Everyone had the same thing on their minds, and we shared a common experience, a common tragedy. We helped each other. We comforted each other. We protected each other. It eventually did go away, but it was this kind of phenomenon. New York was a different place for a few weeks, and the play really accurately depicts what it was like to deal with strangers in those weeks after. And Brian brilliantly puts strangers together in this very interesting way in a home that happens to have a view of the World Trade Center, or had. It was my second day of third year at Juilliard. It was 9/11. And I was living in Queens, actually, and my subway was out in Queens, it's above ground. And I was leaving the house, and I happened to look at the TV and see that one building had been hit by a plane. And it was so strange, confusing. I didn't really think of anything of it. I thought, that's a terrible thing. Oh my God, how weird. And then I left. And from my walk, between leaving the house and arriving at the subway station, the other plane had hit. And I got to the subway station in Astoria, and you could see the World Trade Center. And I could see that it looked like both buildings were burning. And I remember thinking, God, how did the fire move from one building? That's how naive I was. And I really thought it was, the idea that it was an intentional act wasn't even in my consciousness until a stranger turned to me and said, they got the other one. So we all watched it from the platform, and we watched it the entire ride in. And I went to school, and we were ushered away from class and into an office in the drama division to watch TV. We watched the entire thing unfold together in a classroom, in an office. And then I spent the rest of the day with my classmates at school, and then nearby at classmates' home, and then made my way home.